And Bria, let me know when you're rolling.
Are we broadcasting?
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Michael Lloyd. Hello,
hold
Michael.
It down. Hold it down. Hold the applause till the end.
All right. I want to let everybody know we've had nothing but problems with audio and video. Michael's working off an iPad in Beverly Hills, and here we are in Agora Hills, and so maybe it's the hills between us. I'm going to go on and get my chat room open. How are you, Michael?
It's all good. How are you guys?
We're good.
I see a taxi in the background.
Absolutely. Here, let me get my channel. I want to go to YouTube Studio. Hello, everybody. We'll be right with you. All right, and there is the chat room. Yay.
Yay. I'm already writing notes.
All right. Anyway, here, let me read you a little bio for Mr. Lloyd, and then I'll tell you what the rules of the game are today. Okay, Michael Lloyd was vice president of A&R at MGM Records by the age of 20. And for more than 45 years, he's been producing hit records and soundtracks, earning more than 105 gold and platinum awards and selling over 150 million records. Some of the artists he's worked with include Barry Manilow, Mike Love and the Beach Boys, Lou Rawls, Sylvie Vartan, Sean Cassidy, Steve Hawley, Belinda Carlisle, the Monkees, the Bellamy Brothers, the Osmonds, Stryper, which I marvel at every year, Sammy Davis Jr., Bill Medley, the Righteous Brothers, Debbie Boone, Kimberly Locke, Leif Garrett, Air Supply, and Frank Sinatra, just to name a few. He was the music supervisor for the film Dirty Dancing, wrote the Latin music for Patrick and Jennifer to dance to, and produced the soundtrack album. Currently, there are several Dirty Dancing, the musical companies, touring all over the world. Well, maybe not this month. He's done the scoring, music supervision, songwriting, song placement, and/or producing for nearly 200 motion pictures, TV movies, and TV specials and TV series. His chart record spans 6 decades from the 60s to the present. Michael's also a recipient of the coveted TAXI Lifetime Achievement Award. Ladies and gentlemen, a dear friend of mine and one of the most honest people you'll ever meet, Mr. Michael Lloyd. And the format is going to be quite simple. Bria is going to be playing. She's sitting across the table from me. She's playing songs that have been randomly chosen by a randomizing algorithm that she's using. So everybody, sorry, a little frog in my throat. Everybody has an equal chance of getting played today. Let's see. That's it. So Bria is going to announce what the song, or it's all songs today, no instrumental tracks. Is there anything I've forgotten, Bria? Okay, and how's your microphone? Do a level check.
Hello, hello, hello.
Okay. We are ready to go. So what's your first one?
All right, so the random number gave me 292, and that is Bar Stool by John Hope.
Okay.
Sitting on a bar stool, drinking my feelings away, thinking of the years that's gone by. Some of them were happy and some of them were wrong. Sweetheart, you won't have me very long. Got me where you want me, you won't have me for long. Oh, don't treat me like a clown without his makeup on.
Okay, really, really cool. The, that kind of legacy country thing is always a lot of fun to hear. And it's fun to hear again. It's fun to hear again. It's all good. uh, I think that what might be interesting to consider, since country music has changed so much over the last even handful of years, uh, the cool legacy part of country might not be as prominent as it used to be. So while the fiddle licks and all that kind of stuff are really cool, he might want to consider a mix that is a little bit more minimalistic in approach, so that you don't have that fiddle and the whatever else is playing licks competing with the vocal, and then have it come in here and there, or have it come in, at the bridge or the tagline of the verse or something. That's kind of a mixed thing, a mechanical thing. And the voice is maybe not prototypically country for today. No judgment for the singer, but again, if you're trying to pitch this to somebody, I think it's important that you consider what's on the radio right now and how you can possibly fit in combining a contemporary approach with the legacy idea. Because I do believe that can be effective. There are artists that are doing that, so I do believe that can be effective. The beauty's in the eye of the beholder on everything we're going to listen to. So a lot of this stuff is, kind of gut reaction instinct right off the bat. But it sounds cool. I love the idea of the legacy stuff. I mean, it just sounds cool when you hear that. So whoever put it together, it's a very genuine sound. I would just consider those couple of things to see if that might be better. If it's something this person is thinking of as an artist, I think that may be a little bit more problematic, because this is so legacy that it's hard to imagine that fitting in on country radio right now. Could change, but a little bit of contemporary approach to it might help.
Thank you. And by the way, I should let everybody know that Michael is actually a partner in Curb Records in Nashville. So even though he's LA based and more of a pop and rock guy, he's certainly well versed in country, which is rare. So, all right, what's up next, Bria?
All right, the next one is No One Sees You Cry in the Rain by Paul Petruccelli, I believe.
Okay.
It's raining hard outside. That should be perfect, It's him and me, we just fell apart a couple hours ago. He said it matter-of-factly, right in the back of the taxi. Couldn't explain it exactly. He just kicked me out onto the street. No one sees you cry in the rain, or hears you calling his name. No one passing by ever feels your pain. No one sees you cry in the rain. No one.
Real good title. It's an obvious title, but it's a good title. And the whole idea of it is good. Again, since we don't have the people here right now, I can't talk about, is this an artist or are you pitching the song? So we got to try and cover all the bases here quickly. If it's a song, I think that, they'd have some luck maybe for placements, in terms of getting it to the right artist. There are a number of singer-songwriter indie girls. They might want to make this sound a little more indie. The girl singing it is just a hair too, almost, she got a nice voice, but it's almost a little too legit. It may need a little quirkiness to it, so that it doesn't sound too adult. You know what I mean? And again, if it's an artist thing, I would say the same thing. I bet this girl could be directed into a bit more of a quirky atmosphere, so that you get the singer-songwriter indie girl a little bit more. It's interesting when you hear some of the demos that people do or some of the records that people do, the combinations of elements, and they can make the thing lose focus a little bit. It's not that any of the elements are bad. It's just that they may not go together exactly right. So if this girl was a little breathier, I would consider, while she's getting the notes fine, I would consider even lowering the key a little bit so that it had a bit more of a moody quality. That may not be possible, but that I think if they can add a quirkiness to it, it would help.
Okay. What's next, Bria?
All right, next on the list is I Saw It Coming by Simon Souffeld.
Okay. Barely any level.
I can't hear it.
Yeah, I'm getting like practically nothing on the meters over here.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Okay, we're going to straighten that out and then we'll try it again.
Yep, it's all good.
It might just be
Hey, listen, all you, whoever's listening, who's ever out there listening, anybody that's
Is there
ever
just
seen
no
me at the
level on the
TAXI
thing?
Road Rally. I'll wait.
Are you getting anything now?
Okay, can you take it back to the top? Was that from the top?
Sorry, give me a sec. It's such a huge playlist that it's...
Oh, okay. Yeah, we've got hundreds of songs in this playlist.
Oh my gosh. This thing's driving me nuts.
Everything will be alright as long as we're together. I was trying to convince myself, but I saw it coming from miles away. As if standing in front of a predator like a prey. And I saw it coming years from now. I was trying to enjoy the moment, but I didn't know how. Like those times when you were blue, yeah, you had me going. Opening up about some random things, my faith was growing. A fool's lucky day, a day to remember. In the horizon, I could sense some kind of warning, and I saw it coming from miles away.
Guy's voice sounds very interesting, and the whole thing is interesting. To me, the hook needs to be more focused, and I was listening more and more, waiting to get to the hook. So I think it's a little unfocused from that point of view. I think that some of the sections might be a little too long. You're staying on the sections of the songs a bit too long. I don't know. I'd have to hear it to hear all the words and everything, but to me, it just didn't. It just lost focus. And I was interested in the sound, and I was interested in what he was saying, but it just seemed to go on too much with a section. I know I've said that now 3 times, but anyway, some editing might be in place here. Sometimes you fall in love with things, and you just can't imagine changing anything. I had a record years and years ago that was like this, and the promotion guy at Warner Brothers said, "Oh, maybe you could just edit the verse down." And I thought, okay. And we did, and the lyric worked, and everything worked, and it was a top 20, top 15 record. But if I hadn't edited it down, it probably wouldn't have attracted any attention because it went on too long. So sometimes editing can be your friend, and this might be one of those times when a little judicious editing might help just to keep people in the moment of the song. Whether this is a song placement or a song artist, it sounds interesting. You just gotta make the best record. Well, you and I have talked about this, and we've talked about it with all the TAXI members. Unfortunately, today's demos aren't demos, and you've got to make a record. You got to make a finished record. So that's what people are judging. So anything that you can do to help that, vis-a-vis this idea of perhaps editing things down a little, might be beneficial. But the guy's got an interesting voice, and it's an interesting song.
Cool. Thanks. All right, Bria, what's next?
All right, next up is I'm Free by David Brown.
Nothing you do could ever surprise me, baby. You're here, then you're gone. So in love, and then you tell me maybe you'd be better off alone. But when you're here and holding me, I can't believe I'm free. You're the only thing I need. I'm free. I'm complete when you're with me. It's not in the way you treat me. God knows I'm alone most of the time. Somehow you always defeat me when you say that you're mine. 'Cause when you're here and holding me, I can't believe I'm free. You're the only thing I need. I'm free. I'm complete when you're with me.
Okay. So another interesting idea lyrically. Good lyrics can identify with this. People can identify with it. A couple of things. Since this is kind of guitar-oriented, acoustic guitar-oriented, I'm not going to say it would fit into Ed Sheeran, but that's what's going to come to mind at record companies. Oh, acoustic guitar, male singer, Ed Sheeran. And that's okay. This is maybe a little more aggressive, perhaps, in certain ways, but I think that some of these things people sing too high. There was another song that we had there just a second ago. I think that this guy's got a nice voice, but it sounds like he's, to me, shouting too much. And then you lose the identity of the piece somewhat. Yes, we can think of all kinds of singers that sing that way. I got it. But I think in this particular case, it might be worthwhile to consider lowering the key and lowering the intensity until there's a moment when you have that intensity. Because if it's too much of that, I think that you're singing at someone instead of singing to someone. And it just, to me, then takes away the personal lyric here. And that's all about this is a personal lyric. It's a relationship song. So I would consider, making the vocal less intense, giving it more emotion, more gradient value between verse and chorus and so forth. And that may be lowering the key. But, it's a good idea for a song. And again, I wish we were talking to people, if this is a song, try to get a song placement or or an artist, but there's nothing we can do about that. So I would just encourage them to consider this and see if it makes sense to them. And by the way, any of you guys that have ever seen me, you know how long we talk about some of these things and go back and forth. And that is what I miss so much with this, because there is no back and forth. It's just Michael and I talking about these songs, and that's the most we can do right now. I'm certainly grateful that he's had the opportunity to get this whole thing together, and that the Taxi is out there doing this for their folks. I mean, this is just, it's unbelievable. I'm just blessed to be sitting here to be doing this. So there's nothing wrong with this. Nothing wrong with it. And I know Michael does too, wish for the time when we can be interacting and talking about these songs, because that's what it's all about. And that's what Taxi does so well, is it interacts with its people. And this is Taxi doing the very best they can to interact with everyone out there. And I can't thank him enough for having me involved in this. And, I look forward to seeing you next year when we do this. But, we're going to do the best we can here.
I've got to say, thank you for the compliments. Much appreciated. And I hope I never, ever have to do another virtual road rally as long as I live, because the preparation that it took to get this off the ground was intense. And by the way, I think it'd be really funny that while we're doing this and you're talking, somebody was behind you taking the gold records one by one off the wall and sneaking them out of your house. So when you're all done, you turn around and go, whoa, where'd they go?
Well, what happened? Wait a minute. Hey.
Anyway, all right. Your input has been great. Thank you, Michael. Bria, what's up next?
All right, up next is Galactic Boogie, and then in parentheses, Better Days by Todd Smoller.
Okay. This is so fun. I get to practice my fade outs all day long.
No, it's great. Yeah. I love the energy. I love the energy of it, and the guitar riff and all that kind of stuff. I just was checking on headphones. I got a speaker here, but it's a little hard to hear the words. So I'm a bit of a loss for that. Do you have any idea what he's saying? Is it about a today thing? What is it? I couldn't quite hear the words. What do you think?
Honestly, I was worrying about tech and wasn't paying attention to the lyrics. I was bopping to the groove.
It's a little. The groove is great. I think that you might want to consider a mix that gets your vocal out a little more, because it sounds like the words could be important. And when you have a great groove like that and the guitar and so forth, there's a lot to compete with. But you may want to have a little bit more vocal. Harder. This has got to be the perfect placement. This has to be, a energy-filled, youthful thing, driving, party, I don't know, something. So this isn't one of those things where I would say, minimalize it and cut it down, because TV likes, kind of more bare stuff. No, you'd have to keep the energy up with this. And, if it's a song, if it's an artist thing, there's only so many stations now that are playing so-called rock stuff, guitar, bass stuff. I don't know that they're even calling them that. A few months ago, anything that had guitar in it was alternative. So I'm not sure what it's called right now. It changes so much. But nonetheless, a lot of energy, sounds like good playing. Just consider getting your vocal a little more, and then, look at the music supervisor list in Music Connection or something, and send this out to where they're doing some upbeat stuff. Maybe the CW, or maybe the movie.
Several people are commenting that they didn't hear the voice or the lyrics. I could hear them in my headphones. Bree is shaking her head. Yeah. Could you hear the vocals, Michael? You just couldn't make out the words?
I could hear a vocal, but it was, this particular one was minimized. So
Right.
that's
Okay.
why I happen to say, and it may be just competing with all that stuff coming over the internet like you're doing, that there was only so much, you're only going to hear so much in a compressed state or whatever this is. So
Right. It's the state
I
of miracle. It's a miracle that we're
Right.
playing it here and it's bouncing off
Yeah.
of, the internet and making it to you and back to here. It's a
Yeah,
miracle.
well, anyway, they heard. So at least there's those other people were thinking the same thing, and it may be that it would just be something to consider to get the vocal out a little bit more.
Okay. And what's up next, Bria?
All right, next up is Higher by Lisa Dunn.
Okay.
I'm going higher. I'm going higher. I'm a winner. I'm a fighter. Shed my issues, feeling lighter. How you doing? I'm on fire. I tell the truth. I'm no liar. I'm going higher. I'm going higher. Feeling good. Got my goal. My heels are lit. I'm going bold.
Michael?
Very cool stuff. Very, very cool stuff. I think a couple of things. The intro needs to be shorter, and she shouldn't start with the chorus lines. I'm going higher. She shouldn't start with that. She should have the intro, and she should go right into the verse, and the verse should be maybe a little sparser. Maybe there's no bass in the verse. Maybe I don't know. No, I can't quite tell if there's much backbeat or whatever, but maybe the verse is more open. And then when the chorus comes in, the bass comes in, and you have some feeling of difference. The percussion is great. The whole idea of the girl's voice sounds really good. But I would mold the song a little bit that way. I wouldn't start. I cut the chorus, cut the introduction down, cut that chorus line out at the beginning. Go with the verse, have it more open, come in with a chorus that's then will sound bigger, and then go on. I mean, you'd come back to a verse and so forth and so on, like she did. But it's cool, and I think. Wonder what I think. Maybe when it comes into the chorus, this is so, commenting on people's stuff like this is just, crazy. This is their work. This is their babies. This is their dreams. This is what, and I'm sitting here saying, well, just cut this out. No one will know, and do this and do that. It's crazy. But it just hits me the first thing. And, maybe when you come into the chorus, the vocal could be doubled, or tripled or quadrupled on the same lead vocal, not to do anything, but just to increase the size, and you EQ them differently and place them differently, and all of a sudden the chorus sounds bigger. It's the same kind of thing, but it's just different. So this isn't brain surgery. Everybody does things like this, so they're not unique. But in something like this, it might be interesting to consider. I guess you could think of this as a dance record, but it's not a true club record. So, and that's probably good. This is more of a rhythmic, up-tempo, dance-ish kind of record. But these things might give it a little bit more of a pop leaning, which might then increase whether they're looking for playlists or whether they're even looking for placement. Now, if it was placement, all of these things still work. And I like the other record. I don't think that there's a minimalistic way to do this and keep the energy. You know, if she just had the congas and some kind of a beat and she had her voice, you know what I mean, so that it somehow seemed more minimalistic. I don't think that that works for something like this. It wouldn't be bad, but I think that you need the energy of everything. So those are the, you know, just spur of the moment kind of ideas.
Pretty good for spur of the moment. Thanks. And next?
All right, next up is The Final Straw by Bed of Nails.
It's cool. It's cool. The what's the name of the artist again? Bed of Nails?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Obviously, this holds true to that other song we were talking about. The same thing holds true, that this kind of rock is harder to get on the radio, the old-fashioned radio. Easier to get on playlists because there are playlists dedicated to this, but it's harder to get on radio. Very interesting contradiction. And you know, the thing is, we're listening to stuff that people have created. They're not being influenced by, oh, I should be more like Bruno Mars. Oh, I should be more like Drake. Oh, I should be more like Ariana Grande. They're doing what they think is right for them. They're doing what they like. They're doing what they want to create. And that used to be the lifeblood of the music business. It used to be people creating their music. Now, their music could have been influenced by 100 different things or one thing, but it was their music. So the people that are doing this are creating their music. What we're trying to do is help them to expose their music in the best way we can and get noticed. Getting noticed in today's world is like the same thing it was years ago. The mechanisms might be different, but you want to get noticed. You know, you got to get noticed. The dynamic of his voice is good. He's got a big, powerful voice. When it gets down into the verse, I think he needs to be just more, it can be strong, but he needs to be more subdued, or it just needs to change. The dynamic needs to change so that when he gets to the chorus, it's big and powerful, and you can sense the difference. You can sense the emotional change. This is important in all music. not just a record, but in all music. Because, as you guys, you see on your computer screens, the jagged waveform. Okay, well, if it's just like this, it means it's all the same level, it's all the same everything. So what you're looking for emotionally is something that grows and condenses and grows and condenses. It's a simplistic idea to think about, but the idea is to not stay static emotionally. And you can think of all kinds of records like that have been hits. So even if it's Bruno Mars in Uptown Funk, right? Nothing like what we just listened to, but the verse is very open and he's kind of got short phrases, and then he gets to the chorus, and Uptown Funk don't give it to you. And then he gets into the chorus, which is kind of just the horns, doing the lick and stuff. So, but there's this emotional dynamic to the record. I think that's important for everything. Going back to the rock around the clock, it just is important to consider that. I know that I'm talking now about things that are virtually finished. Obviously, these people have on these things. So this is a little bit the horses out of the barn. It's all kind of done already. But should they have the inclination? I'm just thinking that you get a vocal there in the verse that's a little bit easier going, still dynamic, still compelling, and it gives him a place to go later in the song. But anyway, there we go. I talk too much.
Well, he came up with a great band name, which is Jagged Waveform.
I know. I've used that in some movies. I've used it as the source song, source band, Jagged Waveform. Yeah.
All right, what do you have, Bria?
All right, next up is In Like a Lion by Alan Frederick.
Touching me deep to my center as you rest your warm hand on my shoulder, lost in the moment with no sense of time, unaware of the night growing older. My right arm searching wraps round your waist, pulling you near, but no, I'm too late. You're already here, your breath warming my chest, smiling with confidence, passing the test. In like a lion, out like a lamb, all caution thrown to the wind.
Yeah. Cool. It was going to be a cool chorus. As soon as he started singing, and I hope he doesn't take offense, whoever the singer is, because this was a big record and the guy had big hits. There's a little tiny Rick Astley quality to his voice, just a tiny little bit, which is, very interesting. It's good to have something that's a little different from what's happening. However, he's got to be careful, again, whoever we talked about before, of slipping into a legit sounding vocal that makes him sound like he's singing at the Holiday Inn and it's, cabaret-ish in some way. That is more limiting. So I suggest that he consider, what's the guy that was the name of the guy in the Talking Heads? David Byrne?
Yeah.
I suggest he consider some more hard pronunciations or some, sloppy almost singing, because he's very precise and good, but sometimes that can be kind of legit. So, you could sing a phrase like, I want to see you, right? Or you could make it all sound like one word. I want to see you. It's all kind of one word. No distinction, no separation. There might be some things to do that would make it a little more compelling in that regard. And the instrumentation, again, sometimes less is more. So I can't give him a great idea here listening to it this way. because I may be, totally wrong. But it sounds like there might be just a little too much playing in the verse again, and have a little less there, and then increase when he has the harmony coming in the chorus and so forth and so on. This type of thing, I don't know. Obviously, radio is not playing things like this, so he has to either tone it in some way to compete with what's on the radio, or perhaps consider a few of these things and listen to playlists that would be like this. There's a playlist called Bedroom Pop, I think that's Bedroom Pop on Spotify. Anyway, maybe it's a little more effects on his vocal. Maybe it's a kind of a automatic double track kind of thing to give it a little bit more distinction, a little bit more unusual quality. Again, anything that he can do to stay away from the legit atmosphere gives him a chance to get exposed, I think, a little better. It's just something to consider.
Awesome. Thank you. Great feedback. And moving on, Bria, what do you have next?
All right, I have
Are any of these people
Mother
watching
Earth
you?
by Daniel Amy Pelletier.
Hang on one second. I'm going to have you repeat that. But Michael, say what you were going to say.
Do you think that any of these folks might be watching? Do you see anything in comments saying I'm the guy that did that or anything like that?
Yeah, we've had one or two.
Well, tell me what it is, because maybe we can, for a second, go back and forth for a second.
I'm a little concerned because of the delay in the chat and just the internet in general that will be if we do that for every song, we'll play 10 less songs.
No, not every song, but just
okay.
One or two or something. Okay.
Okay, limited to just two.
Okay.
All right, Bria, what's up next, please?
All right, it's Mother Earth by Daniel Amy Pelletier.
Good. Okay, so the harmonies are good, the vocals good, song sounds interesting, melody, words. It's a song, so nice to hear. All of these are songs. We've really been listening to some songs. It almost starts off a little bit, though. I'm not trying to say it sounds old-fashioned, but there is almost a Crosby, Stills and Nash kind of thing at the beginning that you might feel from if you even know who they are, with the guitar like that and playing. And then it gets into the harmonies, and everything.
Oh, you just froze.
It's strange. I hear a lot of people over the years. They come into the studio and they go, "Okay, here's the microphone," and they start to sing. I want to sing. I want to, and they feel like they've got to kind of be big and great from the first note they sing. And now we've had several here that, to me, if there's anything, as far as a thread with this, it's that people are not thinking with their heart. They're thinking with their throat. They're thinking with I'm a singer. I'm going to sing. I'm going to be balls out right away. I think that they need to think with their heart, and they need to understand that they're acting out some lyrics, and that whole beginning, I would tell the guy, tone it down, do it breathier, do it more subdued, do it this. I know I've said this now several times, but to me, that is the thing that's missing. And if you listen to Crosby, Stills and Nash, or if you listen to, Paul McCartney doing an acoustic song, or John Lennon doing an acoustic song, or Neil Diamond, or anybody, they don't, Brother Love's Traveling Salvation Show, right? Well, he doesn't start big. He gets the love, brother, love. He gets to the chorus and he's big, right? But in the verse, he's trying to connect, and he's telling the story and blah, 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 blah. I think that is something that if there was a trait that record producers or somebody advising singers would have, it's to say, think with your heart more. Think with what you're saying. Think with a different dynamic. So
Yeah.
that would help. That would help with this. It would make the song sing more and resonate with people more. Barry Manilow, I write the songs. I've been alive forever, and I wrote. He didn't say I've been alive forever, right? He waited until I write the songs that make, and it's a thing when you get to that. So I think and I know that's old fashioned and so forth, but that doesn't change the fact that those dynamics work all the time. And I think it would be better if they consider it. And they may be happy with what they are, and that's great. These are just ideas.
It's dynamics are a very, very common theme in all this, and it's not just engineering dynamics or vocal dynamics. It's all those dynamics. It's the performance dynamic, and Frank Sinatra may be the best at vocal or lyric interpretation who's ever lived. When he sang a song, you felt like he meant every word, and he was singing it right to you.
Absolutely, and that's what makes the difference. And when you look at old Beatle things and old Beach Boy things and everything, it's a big deal when you hear the Beach Boys sing fun. Well, she got her Danny's car and she cruised, and she'll have fun, and everybody's coming in there, right. The higher voice and everything. So it's the evolution of the emotional content of the song.
Absolutely. All right, what's next?
All right, next up is Unhappy by Victoria Mirza.
Whatever happened to my life when everybody's out on Valentine and we're just counting ourselves, we drink wine, wishing for happiness while out to dine. Why can't I ever be happy? Why do I always wallow in my head? It's not like I don't get lucky or alone living on the streets of others' bread. Why would you take my time away? It feels like you're not present anyway. You don't care if I go or stay. Feel like I am in your way. The other day I went to the ocean, let the breeze gently tap my face, and I forgot I was even there. And in my heart I had the usual mess. Sometimes I wish you would go away. Even if you believe I want you to stay, what's good enough isn't enough for me. Better than nothing is the worst to feel.
Since the chords, and melody are very, very similar throughout, I think they need to have more instrument differentiation from the sections. So again, this is another dynamic issue. Less instruments maybe in the verses. Take out the kick, take out the bass, take out whatever. And then when she gets to the chorus, double it, even if it's a slight double or something on the vocal, to give it a little buzz, a little lift, a little different thing there. I would have probably advised them to adapt the melody a little bit more when they get to the hook. Didn't it seem like it was kind of the same thing over and over?
It absolutely did.
And it's an attractive sound. And there are songs where the chords are the same in both sections. Thriller is the famous one. Just the same. Da, 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 da. It's the same thing all the way through the song. But the melody changes. So to me, I would have experimented with a little bit more, a little bit melodic change in the choruses as opposed to the verse. But it's a nice sound, and again, dynamic somehow in this particular case might be more in the music, and perhaps a little bit re-examining of the chorus melody to give you a bit more variation.
That song would be really good. I was sitting there thinking this would be great in like a falling in love movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was one with Jack Nicholson fell in love with, I can't think of her name, but she was a playwright, and they fell in love out
there. Yeah, I know, it's a great movie.
Yeah, and the scenes in Paris later, even though obviously it called for some French music, this would have been
fantastic.
Yeah, but the chorus just didn't make it, and so that really hurt it.
Yeah,
anyway.
Yeah, that I think you lose connection when it's so much the same.
Yep. All right, what's next?
Okay.
All right, next up is called Follow Your Heart by Doug Hartwell.
Okay.
Follow your heart to where it leads. Make a new start, don't doubt, believe. Come with the beat of a different drum. Follow your heart, your time has come. Follow your heart, you're not alone. Don't be the first to cast a stone. Let go and live, don't waste a day. Follow your heart, be on your way. Change is due, let the change be you and me, fitting hand to glove. Don't sit and wait while the world fills with hate. Stand up and reach for love and follow your heart. You've just begun.
Good, interesting song. I like the track, sounds good. A lot of thought in the track. And the title is good, of course. Follow Your Heart, all that's great. My fear here again is you have someone that sounds too legit, that doesn't sound poppy enough. He's not singing it in a style that's today as much. Now, that may be the goal, in which case that's fine. But if you're going after a today-ish audience, the lines he's holding the notes to on da 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 da, that wouldn't necessarily be that way today. That would be a little bit more cabaret-ish as in approach. And it's interesting because he's not doing this he's not doing this to copy things. He's doing this because this is what he likes. He's doing this because this is what influences him. So it's wonderful to see these influences because they're all very musical. What we're talking about here is not that they're bad, but how can they be adapted to connect with placements, songs for artists, streaming, radio, whatever, right? And that is a difficult thing sometimes to put your finger on. Sometimes you think, oh, gee, it'd be great. I don't know what it's missing. Well, in this particular case, and in the case of a couple of others, it may be that the approach is just a little too legit. And if you think about that, you then start to sing it differently, adapting your love and your idea and all this to incorporate a little bit more of a today phrasing, or a little bit more of a today pronunciation, or a little bit more of a today sound. That can make a huge difference to people. And, this is the kind of thing that you'd go, you wouldn't just decide this when the guy got to the studio. This would be something you kind of woodshed before. I'm going through this now with a girl from Phoenix, and she hasn't done anything before. And so she likes a lot of different things, but what is the genuine nugget of it all for her? And what makes the most sense for her? What does she do automatically that makes it her? And how do we take that and make it accessible? So this is not a catch-all. This isn't a one answer fits everything. These are just concepts. And the guy's got a good voice. And I bet you people have said, oh, you got such a good voice. And he does. But is it appropriate for any of these things we've just discussed? That's the killer with all of this. That's
You're
the
hitting,
killer. Because
you're hitting on something that's so key. We hear this all the time, and our members are frustrated when they get feedback from the screeners saying, it's not contemporary enough, it sounds dated. Well, as you and I and Rob have talked about at dinners, we've talked about this for years, which is you kind of grow up absorbing all these influences, and your teens through your late 20s, maybe even into your mid 30s, are kind of the most impactful years for music for a lot of people. So whatever was happening stylistically, melodies, production chops, arrangements, rhythms, sounds, all those things that go into that stew of making a record are the things that get absorbed into you by osmosis. And it's hard to shake those at 40 or 50 when you start making your own music. So we've talked about this endlessly on Taxi TV. You really need to force yourself to listen to whatever is on playlists or charts today. Absolutely.
And people say, oh, I just don't like today's music.
Right.
Well, then you're not going to connect. So you can't just shut it off and say, because it's not relevant to me anymore, I'm not interested in listening to it, but I'm a musician, I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter. Well, I know several people that write the same, well, this is the way I write. Okay, but those kind of songs aren't being played anywhere. So, fine, write them the way you want, but then you can't say, no one gives me a break. Because
right.
You're not giving yourself a break. You're not giving yourself. This isn't about being, this isn't about narrowing the field. This is about widening the field, broadening it. This is about being more inclusive, not about changing and throwing away everything that you know. It's about knowing more and then incorporating what you do into that direction as well. So, but it's hard for people to wrap their head around that and kind of do it. But and I'm probably an example too. I mean, I grew up, listening to Bill Haley and the Comets and all those guys up until the Beatles and Beach Boys and sorry and everybody, on up through to the Monkees and Sammy Davis. I mean, the people that I recorded, Sammy Davis doesn't sing like a contemporary singer, yet we had a #1 record with him with Candyman because we made him sing it a little more Now, of course, this is a long time ago, so there was a better mix of things on the radio, But if he was happening today, if Sammy Davis was with us right now, he'd be influenced by people that were around. He was that kind of guy. He was influenced by the people that he was around back then, like Frank and Dean and all that stuff. There was a reason they were fast friends and hung out. They had the same view on how to do things. So anyway, getting back on this, I would just encourage him to think about some ways to be a little bit more contemporary and how to slant this so that he doesn't lose his identity, but he broadens his chances.
Okay. And by the way, did I go out to dinner with Sammy Davis Jr.'s daughter on a date in like 1986? Yes, I did. She was very nice.
Wow.
So Sammy and I were like this, man. We're almost related.
Yeah, I know that. I feel you.
What's up, Bria?
All right, next is Waiting Game by Dan Marcus.
What's it called?
Waiting Game by Dan Marcus.
Okay.
It's a waiting game I'm living in. It's a waiting game. I can't give in. One false move and I'm dead. It's a waiting game. I miss you now, but I can't let on, 'cause I knew somehow I must be strong. Show my hand and I lose. It's a waiting game. Wait.
Okay, that's very cool. Very cool. Now, this is going to sound disrespectful, but he needs to be tuned up. He's got to be in perfect pitch for something like that. And he's good. He sounds, good, but it's got to be perfect. So if someone were to say, oh, well, we did tune it, well, then you weren't discerning enough. It needs to be just perfect. I would probably have asked him to sing a few of those lines just a little bit shorter. It's a waiting game. Like Lou Reed or something, you know what I mean? So you get more of a edginess to it. He's just a little too relaxed or a little too less threatening. It needs to just be a little edgier, I think.
Right. He doesn't make you feel the weight.
Doesn't make you feel the weight. So I would have, and I think he can do it. I think he just needs to be directed and again, act out your lyrics. Think about what you're saying and act out your lyrics. So, but it's very cool. And this could be used, gosh, I mean, you can imagine different kind of placements for this. If it was a little more Lou Reed, maybe it would have a little bit more organicness to it. But I'm not sure if that works with the style of the song. But maybe there's, like he was just having a guitar come in then. Maybe that guitar element can be instead of a synth. It's playing something there. Maybe it's a guitar little motif, a muted kind of thing or something. Maybe it's not. Maybe not. But he just needs to act the lyric out a little more, and he needs to be perfectly in tune. But it's a very cool idea. The whole thing is cool.
The high percussion thing that was panning between the speakers was a great idea. It had so much top end on it that if it were placed in a movie or a TV show, it would totally distract from any dialogue, from the song itself. I would pitch those down and take off the top end.
Yeah, I can't tell enough about that over what I'm listening to right now. So I'm not trying to give those subtle ideas because I can't tell. But yes, and that would also, if that, I don't even know that he needs it, but it would make it darker and more threatening. Maybe it comes in and out. Maybe when he gets to the chorus, that comes in some fashion. But it just needs to be a little more threatening feeling. You need to feel the weight, as you said. I think you need to feel the weight. It's good. It's still good. All of it's good.
Take your muted guitar idea and and then loop that and use that for the same rhythmic pattern rather than this other sound would be really cool.
Could do that. And the bass is a little indistinct to me, but it would be about the bass. And quite frankly, in some part of it, it could almost be the bass, that moving guitar, and a pad or something, or a kick drum or I don't know, something to give it a little rhythm. The approach could be just more threatening, a little darker, a little more waiting.
Cool.
Good though, real good. Good idea. Good idea.
All right, what do we have next, Bria?
All right, next up is Hide by Stephen Trito.
I'm alone in the dark. I can feel I lost my spark. How do you stop the pain that you feel inside? Where do you find the blame that you need to hide?
Well, now that guy's voice is, dynamically right for the song. And it's a cool idea. I mean, you can imagine this in some lonely spot, you get the mood out of this. There's not, again, any subtleties in the mix or something like that I can't really comment on. But I think that, it's pretty together. I think, I don't know what you change on this per se. I like the whole idea about it. I wouldn't have a background singer come in or anything. It's kind of a solo singer's song, I think. And maybe the strings come in a little soon.
Oh, you just
Anything?
froze. There you are.
Did I freeze for a second?
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. So maybe the strings come in a little soon. Maybe I would trust the song a little bit longer and not have the strings come in until the next section. But it's cool. Or maybe in that first part where you have strings come in, maybe I just have a cello come in instead of a string pad to give it a little bit of a lift. But it sounded good. Sounds good.
We have a listing that might still be running looking for Johnny Cash. What was the song that he did?
Hurt.
Right. Songs like Johnny Cash Hurt, this would definitely fall under that umbrella.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good.
Okay, what's up next?
All right, up next is Alcohol, and in parentheses, Last Call by Robert Maloche.
Okay. Everybody likes alcohol.
Alcohol.
Really know the mess I was in.
Well, they put together a pretty good thing there. So, and you can feel the dynamic, can't you? I mean, coming from the verse to the chorus, the whole thing with the singers coming in and the whole business. Groups like Florida Georgia Line and lots of others are. I imagine this guy is slanting this country, obviously. So, but Florida Georgia Line and lots of others, programming has become a huge part of country music. In replacement of real musicians. So I can't tell. This is a legacy type of record, different than that one at the very beginning we listened to. Obviously this is very different. But if you were to say, whether this is Kenny Chesney or even Hank Jr. or somebody, that has guitars and kind of real drums and cymbal crashes and stuff like that, you can imagine that this could fit into that. And Lee Brice, who's an artist of ours, is a great writer, and he was a big writer prior to being an artist. So he tends to incorporate different elements in some of his records. So there might be, and I wouldn't want to force it so that it doesn't seem right, but there may be some programmed elements that make this sound
frozen.
Chase things that way.
Can you repeat that? You froze for about 10 seconds.
Oh, I'm sorry. Florida Georgia Line and those people use a lot of programming and replacing real instruments. Lee Brice is an artist of ours. He's been a very big writer and so forth and so on. And some of these people incorporate some programming along with the real instruments. Some are just programming. But I think that this guy is a real instrument kind of guy, is what it sounds like, and an organic guy. And I don't think he wants to, necessarily chase that, but maybe there's a loop, maybe there's something that would, complement what he's doing there and slant it a little bit. I try not to do that because it sounds like you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole kind of thing. And maybe that's true here. This sounds good the way it is. As far as a placement goes, sure, if there's a rural movie of some sort, and there's a party, if there's a thing like that, yeah, great. But it's harder to get those. Hollywood doesn't make those much. So I think that he's talking about playlists and radio, and maybe he plays live, maybe he can get something going that way, but it sounds good. It sounds genuine, which is important, and I don't know what else you do to that.
I would lose the sound effects at the top of it because that makes it nearly impossible for a music supervisor to use it. I was going to say I would use... Only in a country movie, only in a rural movie, and Hollywood just stays away from country music. They don't like it. Right, but I would lose the sound effects, the crowd sound effects, or the party sound effect at the top, because if anybody needs that, they're going to add it to the movie. They don't want it in the song because that forces it to be where you put it.
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up, because when it went by, I was going to mention it. I would take it out entirely.
Right.
Radio doesn't like it either. I would take that out entirely. You don't need that. You don't need any kind of sound effect or party or anything like that. Just do your song.
Any of the films like Project X, where kids are going out trying to score alcohol, paying some grown up in front of a liquor store to go buy them a 40-ouncer. This would be great. Once they score the booze and they jump in the car to drive to the party, perfect song for that.
Yeah. Again, I don't know. I think that, yes, it's a perfect song for it. But I think a lot of producers and directors are going to look at this and say, "Oh, it's too country." And unless they're kids, if it's city kids, I think that it's a harder fit. But but you're right. It should be that. And it's a good idea. The whole thing is a good idea. Sounds good.
Mikey likes it. Both Mikeys. All right, what's next?
Yeah.
All right, next up is South of Your Heart by Runar Bang.
South of Your Heart. Cool title.
Yeah,
I'll wake you up, put a coffee cup on your bedside table, and then I have to go, but baby, I hope you know that I love you, and I hope today's gonna be a good one. Maybe tonight when I come home, we'll find some time to be alone. When the kids are finally sleeping and the TV's burning low, like a campfire, baby, let's go south of your heart. Oh, that's where the fire starts. Come a little closer, baby, let me keep you warm tonight. South of your heart, I love every part of you, body and soul, but tonight, baby, let's go south of your heart.
outside of him singing it easier in the verse, it almost sounds like a hit the way it is.
I loved it.
It's just great. Do you know who Dan and Shay is?
Yeah.
The country duo. I don't know if this guy realizes it, but this could, with just a little tiny little addition, this could be a country record. And I know it doesn't sound like, we've listened to these, a couple now that are rather legacy, the last one we heard and the one at the beginning. But this sounds like this could be on country playlists with just a little bit of a slant here and there. Maybe not even. It's just I can't tell over this, but it may have all the elements there. But I would have him sing the verse. I would still have him sing the verse easier. I would have him, he's telling the story, and I would just have him sing the verse easier. When he gets into the chorus, the vocal is fine. It may be fine the way it is, but to me, it just would be more perfect if he was if he was a little bit. Don't light yourself on fire, okay? Don't light yourself on fire.
Happy birthday, Michael.
Yeah, he's such a putz. James, just stop it.
We've spent a lot of your birthdays together.
Yeah, I know. I think the term is you've ruined a lot of birthdays. No, I'm sorry.
There you go. And that's why Patty loves me.
But anyway, that sounds like that can be a hit. I'd love to get a copy of that one. And it's not that the others weren't good. So guys that are listening, he didn't like mine. He didn't say that about mine. No, I just may have something interesting with that. So, that's what this is all about. It's connection at the right moment. And
did you make a note?
That's something I ought to say about the placements. Guys, when you're sending your songs into placement, if it doesn't happen right away, or a listing doesn't pan out right away, it's not ever that the song is not good. It's just that the moment isn't right. So there may not be the scene. They may think the lyric. They may think this. It doesn't quite go with it. Blah blah blah. It's not purple enough. It's not green enough. It's not. So. They're going through all kinds of different things there. So don't think that someone doesn't like it. They just don't have an appropriate use or appropriate way to connect a dot. This is about connecting dots all the time. So anyway, yeah, get me that.
Great. Bria will send you a copy, or Tom will. Somebody on the staff will. Yeah, it was instantaneous. You knew before he finished the whole first line. Literally.
Yeah.
Just boom.
Yeah.
All right. What do you got, Bria?
All right. Next up is Sidewalk Serenade by The Pucks.
Sidewalk Journey?
Serenade.
Serenade by who?
The Pucks.
has a cute charm, a cute personality to it. I wish that I could hear it exactly perfectly, because I'm hesitant to say, but it sounds like, once again, some of that needs to be pitched, corrected just perfectly. And I'm not sure that that's happening right now. In the right, I don't know that this is, I don't know that there's an artist doing this right this second that you can pitch this for, but certainly, the right kind of movie, and it sounds like the instrumentation is okay. It sounds sparse, kind of cool, supporting the thing. I suppose if this were some, meet and greet thing where someone just meets somebody and they're walking along, and you can imagine something like this happening in a whimsical sense. So, and the voices support that. So, it's interesting. I can't comment on the track. I can't hear it clearly enough to know what that's all about. But it's an interesting idea, and then the whole thing sounds fine in that whimsical kind of way. You got to find a whimsical scene or something, or a playlist that is, well, I don't know, a chill playlist, something. You know what I mean?
I'm seeing a trend today. It's almost like almost everything we've listened to sounds like it could be on the same playlist. It's almost like from a bygone era, not necessarily in a bad way, but just, it's all kind of in a vibe, in a lane.
Well, and I'll tell you, to expand on that for a second and to really give encouragement to your taxi people, that all of what you've just said is absolutely true. And some of the songs, while they may be rock, or they may be whimsical like this, or they may be something else, the fact is that they're all songs. They're not, I saw you at the bar, want to see you again. I saw you at the bar, want to see. Okay.
I love that song.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I love all of that. All of the songs that say that. So and I I'm not disrespecting those. I'm just saying that there's that, but there's others. There's more. There's other stuff too. And look at all that we're listening to are people writing songs that have their melodies, lyrics that touch something in some way. And that is, again, what music is all about, and what it has always been about. And it lost its way for a long period of time. So I think that what I have seen from Taxi and what it's been able to bring out and help with people is this ability to not be sheep all the time. You can be a sheep now and then, but if you are, you're just part of the pack, and you may as well just, it's just a toss-up is what's happening. These people are trying to be individualistic. They are learning from your screeners and from what they are told and how they're being educated, that there's more to that. So be individualistic, or you're never going to get noticed. Getting noticed is impossible.
I want to ask you to put your music supervisor hat on for a moment, and I want to pose a counterpoint to that, which is, I think all of us who work at Taxi and the screeners, everybody, much of what we do is we're filling orders, largely in the film and TV context, not so much with the record labels or straight up publishers. But when we're working on film and TV stuff, they're looking for something in particular. At least they think they need that something in particular, because that's what they and their team decided, that kind of song would work great in that scene. So because we're filling orders, we are asking people to be sheep-like, and I think everybody who's ever heard any music at Taxi would say, wow, but I heard some amazing stuff. Not just good, not just great, but like knock you on your butt, amazing stuff. But we couldn't forward it, which frustrates us, not quite as much as the members, but frustrates us a great deal. So from the music supervisor perspective, when you reach out to us and say, I need X, Y, Z kind of thing, because I'm doing a birthday scene, let's say, and we hear an amazing song that's sad and lonely, but it's just amazing. It rips your heart out. I want people to know that we hear it, we love it, we care about it, and it breaks our heart that we couldn't send it to a music supervisor. Even though it's great, it's not what you need right now, and you're busy trying to get that job done. Is that an apt description of the real world?
I think that what you describe, if you get specific about it, you're looking for a birthday scene, well, then no matter how great the sad song is, it's not going to work. So
Right.
Unless there's some tragedy in the scene. But the fact is that that's what I kind of was alluding to before, which was, you're at the mercy of what the scene is about. So it's a visual thing, plus it's the visual of the movie, the story of the movie. So you have two things going, the general and the specific. So the difficulty of fitting that is truly beauty's in the eye of the beholder. They could get 10 songs, and I have been there where you have a whole bunch of songs and they all would fit perfectly, but that one there, that's the one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, you could put them all on the wall and throw darts at them, and whatever one you happen to hit would work well in that scene. But they feel it's this one. Okay. And they may start out by saying, we need an Earth, Wind, and Fire, up-tempo, joyous dance song that sounds like that. And then you go out and you try and find something like that, and you hear something that is just terrific, but it's not Earth, Wind, and Fire, it's something else, right? And you play them that, and they say, oh yeah, that's great. So they may start by thinking something, but if you find something that's also good, different style, but also good, sometimes that works too. So, but I understand what you're saying, and the screeners can't send off something that is not what's called out right there. So this is the business. This is the crazy part of the business, right? I mean, we're all in this spot. And when I say being sheep, they write essentially the same song, and then that, a lot of times that isn't going to get you the gig because they're now comparing it to the famous song. It will never live up to the famous song. And then they say, oh, well, this isn't as good. Well, naturally, it's not as good. It hasn't had 50 years of being a hit. It's a brand new song. So there are so many elements here that you can't control. It drives you crazy. But all I can say is that we're hearing songs, we're hearing talented people convey their emotions, their thoughts, their dreams. And I've been saying this every year for a long time. It's so much better than 10 years ago. It's so much better than 20 years ago. Oh my gosh, it's better than 5 years ago. We're hearing
I want
stuff.
everybody who's watching this to know that without fail, either Sunday night around 10 or 11 o'clock p.m. after the road rally ends, or Monday morning, Michael Lloyd calls me every single year to say, Blasco, I'm so amazed by how much better the music gets every year. He does. He cares, he notices, and he lets me know, and I always appreciate it.
Well,
so I want these guys to know.
And I'm sure I mentioned it at the convention, but it is obvious, and that is not just a testimony to Taxi. It is a testimony to the Taxi people, because they're listening, they're learning, I hope they're listening to today's radio so that they can incorporate those ideas, as well as however old they are, whatever they're doing, whatever style. So anyway, it's just really good. So anyway, onward.
Onward. What do you have, Bria?
By the way,
Next up is Riptide by James Packett.
Hang on, let Bria say her. Go ahead, let Michael.
That movie was with Diane Keaton.
Oh, as good as it gets.
The Jack Nicholson. No, not as good as it gets. Something's got to give.
Oh, something's got to. Right. That was a great movie.
Great movie. Great movie. And that was 17 years ago. So Jack Nicholson has got to be how old? I mean, he hasn't done a movie, I don't think, in 8 or 10 years. Maybe he doesn't do movies anymore.
Gets better with age. I was my family and I used to go to Idaho every year. My in-laws have a house. They live near Sun Valley, and we would go stay with them and go skiing. And they didn't have any a TV or cable in the bedroom. And I used to stay in a separate bedroom from Deb and the kids so I could work late at night, and that would allow me to go skiing the next day. So because I had nothing, but I had As Good as It Gets on my computer, I watched that movie like twice a night, every night for like a week. I loved it. All right, Bria's turn.
Yeah, that's great.
All
right, here we
up
go.
Next is Riptide by James Packett.
Okay.
Fragile souls are prone to break. She gave more than she could take. Reality is seen through different eyes. Just how many lies were told while her faith was being sold at such a cost without a guarantee. Riptide pulls you in. You have to sink or swim. Either way, you're carried out to sea. Melancholy days and nights took their toll on hollow smiles. A white flag lays unfurled upon the ground. Face the coldness of her skin, remembering the warmth within and the promises that she will never keep. The riptide pulls you in. You have to sink or swim. Either way, you're carried out to sea.
It's a really, really good lyric. Good idea. I like the idea. Like it a lot. And I like the comparison from the chorus to the verse. From the one guy singing it kind of low to the, the harmony there, the falsetto, and so whatever higher voice. That's all really good. I don't know that you need to, I don't know what you change on this to make it better per se. I was thinking, two things. One, the piano is kind of playing around the melody notes, how the pushes are dun 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 dun, kind of playing around the melody. If it were Billy Joel, Elton John, any of the kind of piano player guys that had hits, Paul McCartney, Hey Jude, any Carry That Weight, any of that stuff, they would probably play it a little straighter. So they wouldn't go with the emphasis of the melody. They would just go, jang, 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 janga. It would be a little more steady and a little less busy. It was more support. And I kept thinking that would be an interesting idea. Now, I'd have to sit there and hear the guy sing and play it, to see if it was interesting or not. But it also tends to make it a little bit more contemporary, doesn't make it sound like a little bit more of an old-fashioned approach. The other thing is, have no piano and you have a pad of some sort and of some cool evolving pad, and you have a small kick drum doing, I mean, this is another kind of thing. You have a small kick drum doing the boom, like a heartbeat. Mm-hmm. And then they go back to exactly what they have in the chorus, right? So I don't know. I just trying to make it a little bit more of a contemporary sounding track. Maybe maybe it's the piano thing, maybe it's the pad thing, maybe it's a combination of things. I don't know. Or maybe they leave it exactly as it is. You know, it's not like these are brilliant ideas. They're just talking points. But I like it. I like the whole idea. And the riptide, the tide going out, whatever that last line was, it's all cool. Cool. And again, you can imagine this fitting a scene, some kind of scene this would fit. And a playlist too.
I like the fact that you're not just doing song analysis, you're seeing it through a producer's ears. Just an observation. Yeah, you know.
Oh yeah. No, I've got to do that. I've got to do that because, I mean, ever since I was little, it wasn't just writing a good song. I always imagined how the song would sound.
Right.
So, yeah, ever since I was 11 and 12. So and believe me, I am very
You froze. Sorry.
It's very easy for me to be wrong. So, you know,
all of us. Nobody's right all the time. I want everybody to know who's watching the show today that back when I first got to live my dream, they got to watch me interview Carl Richardson yesterday, who was one of my mentors at Criteria.
Yeah,
and it was great hanging out with him. I just saw him a year ago at the Criteria reunion. It was the first time we'd talked to each other in 40-some years, so great to see him again. But when I was a young pup in the business, and I would read, like all of us, Recording Engineer, Producer Magazine, Mix Magazine, you know, whatever we could get our hands on, Pro Sound News, and I would see these articles about this guy, Michael Lloyd, making these hit records, and I used to think, he's so cool. Man, I wish I could work with that guy. I wish I could get to know him. And now we've been friends for, I don't know, like 20 years probably, and
more than that, yeah.
And have become close friends. And he and I and Shirelli and our wives hang out and stuff. And it's just, it's nice to have friends. There's relatability.
Well,
you know what I mean?
So, a couple of things. First of all, you now realize I'm not that cool. Number one. Sadly. But I've got the same thing because, you know, I was 10, 11, 12, and listening to Johnny Tillotson and listening to Freddie Cannon and all these guys back in the day, Bobby Vinton, Brian Hyland, Tommy Rowe. I mean, on and on and on. These 60s guys and some 60s bands and stuff. And then when I was 13, my band opened for the Beach Boys. And that was before Surfin' USA came out, so it'd have to be like 61 or 62 at the latest. And then time goes on. And now I've recorded all these guys. And they're all friends, and it's crazy. It's crazy. When I was little, I was a classical pianist, and so my mother, grandmother, and great grandmother, who I owe everything to, thought that I would be a classical pianist. Well, that kind of went by the wayside, and then they thought I would be a pop pianist. And the pop pianist of all time was a guy named Roger Williams. Right. Who had hits and giant albums and, oh my gosh, played for everybody in the world. It was just ridiculous. And, you know, in early 70s, gotta be, I met him, made his records. He became my dear friend. And, you know, and they were all cool, and they are all cool. And it was just amazing. So I know exactly what you're saying. You were just wrong about me, but anyway.
I was being generous because it's your birthday.
I really appreciate that. I just really. Anyway.
I'm proud to call you a friend and blessed to have you in my life. What's up, Bria?
All right, next up is Just Hold On by Alexander Dillon.
Okay.
Sometimes this road is hard to follow. Sometimes the weight's too heavy to bear. Sometimes you
it's a real nice idea. The real nice, and she's got a good voice. Um, uh, um, First response is if I could get her to be a little less big, a little smaller, I think it would be a little more Celine Dionish, which, again, she's all about dynamic. So she's got a pretty big voice too. And I think that this is just and it may be just, it's not that she's not hitting the notes. It just sounds like it's pitched a little too high, half step, maybe a whole step, just so that it's a little more connecting. I feel it's a little impersonal. And she's trying everything to make it emotional and all of that. But I don't think that that's quite happening. I think it needs to be a little more controlled, a little warmer. Sounds like it needs to be a little warmer. So I know it's a strange word.
When I lived and worked in New York, I did a fair amount of commercials for Broadway plays. The ad agency that did almost all those commercials was one of our big clients. And so every now and then I would get invited to rehearsals for huge Broadway plays. And I remember one time the musical director for one of the plays saying, "You're not singing to the back row," to one of the vocalists.
Yeah.
But this person sounded like they were singing to the back row, which wasn't really appropriate for radio.
That's exactly right. It's another way of saying it, which is a very good way. And yes, this is a little more stage, which translates to me to being a little more legit, which makes it a little less pop and may not achieve what they're hoping to achieve. So, but I'm sure she gets the comment, "Oh, you've got such a great voice, such a big voice, and yes, all true. How can you manipulate that voice on record so that it connects with people?"
Right. Brings back the intimacy.
Yes,
all right.
It needs some.
Okay, up next is Won't Have to Fight, and then in parentheses, Pitch Black at Midnight by Gloria Covington.
It may be pitch black at midnight, but I can barely see the distant sun. We're keeping hope on the inside, so we'll be striving till our work is done. Gonna be alright, gonna be alright. Morning will appear, the sun will be so bright. Gonna be alright, gonna be alright. Morning will appear, and we won't have to fight. We know it's pitch black at midnight. That's why we're praying for a rainy day. Got to be free, it's our birthright. And sometimes rainy empty skies will turn gray, but we're gonna be alright. Gonna be alright. Morning will appear, the sun will be so bright. Gonna be alright.
Okay, so you could almost think that if this was, those people that Shirley records, the gospel choir. What's the name of that guy? You know who I mean.
I would say Keith somebody. I can't think of his name. I'm drawing a blank. He's great.
Anyway,
he's like the best guy in the business. Yeah.
Right. You could imagine in this spot where it's going to be all right, you could imagine the choir coming in there and the track being a little different. But I don't know if that's their intent on this or not. But maybe not. But I think that the singing is good, but it may not be contemporary enough to warrant attention. It may need a little bit more, I don't know, Whitney. It may need a little bit more style to it. And that's not to say they're not good. It's just what's appropriate, what's going to get attention. This might not be the best. It depends on the use, but it's an interesting song. I think it needs more dynamic. Again, more dynamic from the verse to the chorus. Yep, there it is. There it is. That's from like Tiger Beat magazine or something. I'm not kidding.
Just awesome.
I'm not kidding. Yeah, Tiger Beat magazine. Yeah.
Yep. Very cool.
What a good looking guy. Gee, wow.
He was sure adorable.
Yeah.
All right, we got time for.
By the way, none of that has changed. None of that has changed.
Right. Exactly.
Still highly adorable.
We got time for like 2 or 3 more. Hit us with another one, Bria.
Okay. Go.
All right, next up is Can We Try Again by Terry Miller.
Wish I could trade mistakes I made for one chance to explain. Please believe I won't repeat the same things. Baby, can we try again? Never had a role model when I was growing up to show me how to have faith in us. My old man made a mess of everything. Never learned the value of trust, baby.
Sounds good. I mean, it sounds genuine for it. It's Americana kind of thing. I don't know that you change things on that. I mean, it is what it is. I think that they hit the market, and now they've got to get on Americana playlists. There's not a ton subset of country, kind of, but Bruce Springsteen would be on Americana, or John Mellencamp. They'd be on Americana radio. So this is Bob Seger. I mean, this is just a nice approach for that. Everything sounds pretty good. The singer sounds pretty genuine for the thing. What do you think?
I liked it, and I agree with you. People often mistake Americana. They think it's more of a style. It's almost like Americana. It's about America. It's about life in America. Lyrically, if you look up the definition by the Americana Society of America or whatever it is, it talks much more about what's in the lyric than it does about the style of music. So you're right on the money.
Oh, yeah. Here. This is I think important. This we're opening for the Beach Boys.
Move it to your left and bring it up a little bit and closer. Nice. Wow, do you still have that guitar?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome.
Opening for the Beach Boys. Opening for the Beach on 13.
Wow.
We got to represent.
Yeah, you do. That's awesome, man. Oh, man.
Lou Rawls.
What a voice.
What a great guy. What a voice. My first, so I didn't even want to, I didn't know anything about Lou Rawls. Well, am I frozen? No. So
okay.
Anyway, this publisher wanted me to sign him. He had been dropped by Capitol. And the reason the publisher wanted me to sign him because the publisher had a great song for Lou to record, but it was useless to him if Lou Rawls didn't have a record deal. So this is like 1970. So I finally see this publisher. He has me meet the manager, blah, blah, blah. Lou wants a bunch of money. Well, we couldn't give him any money, but I said, look, I'll put you in some MGM movies, which we did. Put him in some MGM movies, signed him, worked on some stuff a little bit. And, you know, Mike and I had some success on little soundtrack albums and stuff that we had done, small hits.
Mike
a couple
Curb.
of small hits. Yeah, a couple of small hits. But this was my first big national hit, Natural Man. And it took 9 months for Ben Scotty to work this record and to bring it home. It took 9 months, got on a little small station and then a little bit bigger and so forth and so on. Million seller, a giant hit, won a Grammy, and I almost didn't sign him. It's just unbelievable.
All right, we've got time, 1.5, maybe 2 more.
Yep, let's do it.
Okay. And this one is?
All right, next up is You Can Rise by Lori Wynn.
Okay.
Life can seem heavy and hard to hold, with hands full of stones when they were reaching for gold. And you try your best, but it's not enough. But don't give up, don't give up. You can rise, reach and raise your hands up to the skies. Lift up, let the sunlight dry your eyes. Dreams may shatter, but what matters is that you realize you can rise. Times are unsteady, hard to adjust, nowhere to turn.
Okay, so they've done it very nicely in terms of the dynamic. I would tune her all up in spots. I know it sounds like a criticism, but it's the world we live in, guys. It is the world we live in. I would tune her up in spots. Got to be perfect. I would minimize, if I could, some of the vibrato on the low notes. I think that it would be more compelling if she sang them a little shorter. And I know it's low, but a little shorter, a little less vibrato. I would have a little more, some kind of pad or I can't quite tell in the chorus if it needs a little more or not. But it empties out nice in the second verse. So they may have enough there. The whole idea is good. I mean, and you know, that inspiring kind of thing, you will rise, we will rise. It's all a good idea. And, you know, I'm sure that there are playlists that deal with positive thinking and all this kind of thing, which this would be important for. Because quite frankly, right now, gosh, so many people are feeling, oh, you know, this is never going to end. This is horrible. This is bad. This is bad for my business. This has killed my business. My kids can't go to school. Any number of things, right? So I had a hit record during the summer with Barry called When the Good Times Come Again. It was just this big positive thing, and, you know, was his biggest record in a long time. And it was a video and hit in England, everywhere. And it's important for people to be inspired. It's important for people to be supported in their belief that things are going to get better. So the lyric is, you know, is positive. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. Maybe just those couple of little ideas.
Well, it is time for us to wrap it up. I want to say thank you to Bria for being a great DJ today and providing a lot of technical help to get us off the ground with this one. It was a bit of a challenge. Michael, thank you so much for not only spending a couple hours with us on your birthday, but for the late night attempt at setting up last night and being patient.
No, it's all good.
And thank you for all the great advice. I could tell by watching the chat room, people really loved it. They appreciate you as much virtually, I think, as they do at the Road Rally. So thanks for spending time with us.
It's great, and I look forward to the panel coming up. What we're going to do with Shirley and you and me, and
the happy ending.
The happy ending, and it's all great. And I just want to tell everybody out there, I'm sorry we didn't have a chance to listen to all your songs, but know that everything that you're doing is positive. You're getting great advice from these taxi folks, and they're not looking at it personally. They're looking at it personally as to what will happen to you. They're trying to think about what's going to benefit you, and that is a rare commodity in the music business. It's a very rare commodity. So I just am encouraged always by what you're doing. I know it sounds like a line, but the people that I've met and I've talked to over the years, it's not. It's not. And I learned something by listening to your songs. I learned something by talking about it, by verbalizing these things. So I'm just very appreciative always of the time to spend with Taxi members and Michael and his people. So I thank you. I greatly appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Michael Lloyd, ladies and gentlemen.